It's time for the Week in Review. Look at national, regional, and local stories from the past week. Here's Brandon Hansen, Managing Editor of the Chewelah Independent, and Scott Allen, Managing Director of Northern Lights Public Radio.
Brandon, I'd like to start off this show by asking you, I know you covered it really well in the newspaper, about the lady who got lost in the woods while picking huckleberries.
Yeah, that happened last week. Lori Albee Price was out huckleberry picking with a friend up on Huckleberry Stranger Mountain, whatever you call it. I think there's 3 names for that mountain there.
Yes.
And her friend had gone to empty his bucket back at the truck and kind of came back and couldn't find her. And this kind of set off a 5-day search for her up on the mountain there, involving family, friends, many kind of law enforcement agencies, and just a lot of people. I think hundreds of people were looking for her. She was finally found alive on Friday. She had some cut up feet and all kind of blistered and obviously dehydrated and stuff. It was smoky. There was 100-degree temps and things like that.
Wow.
But other than that, she was okay. I think there's a few complications with the search just because I believe she has kind of a early onset dementia kind of deal. So when you're looking for somebody like that, sometimes you really can't rely on them, responding to if you yell their name or anything like that. They may not, be cognizant of that and stuff. And even when the person who found her talked to her, he kind of said, had you seen anybody looking for you or anything like that? And she said she had heard the helicopters and wondered what was going on, but wasn't aware that many days had passed and that people were looking for her.
Was she aware that she was lost?
It didn't seem like it. I think she still thought it was the same day of huckleberry picking. Like it was still
I imagine
Monday.
that with the dehydration and that kind of stuff too, adds to the confusion.
Right,
yeah.
Right, definitely there. And again, this is kind of talking to different people here. I always try to preface this because we're talking to a lot of different people who help with the search and things like that. And sometimes information can get inferred because you're playing the telephone game where they got told something, then they're telling me something kind of deal. But this is...
Would you know what she was doing at night?
No. No, we don't know what's...
and then she was surviving on huckleberries.
Yeah, huckleberries. And
the first Facebook post said grass.
Yeah, grass there, yeah.
I thought that was kind of strange.
But yeah, huckleberry. I mean, if there's one place to get lost, it'd be a huckleberry patch there.
Yeah,
so.
No kidding. Lots of vitamin C, keep you going.
Right. And there was actually kind of a cool... niche about this is, I hope he say his name right, but Charlie Abey. He lives up on 49 degrees north, and if I mispronounced your last name, Charlie, you can come in and slap me across the face.
Okay.
But he's a former Kittitas County search and rescue team there by Ellensburg.
Okay.
And he had kind of heard about, what was going on and went up there and was kind of organizing it like a professional search and rescue, kind of with the grids and, okay, we got to make teams. This is how you flag an area, so, showing that it's been searched and everything. And he said that where she was found, they were actually setting up to go there that morning when Steve Gibson, the person who found her, was just driving up that road, kind of looking for a place to park the truck kind of deal. And that's when he saw her. So they were about to move into the area where she was kind of deal. So that's
what a nice
good.
thing for him to do, just kind of step up and get involved.
And get involved there. And a lot of people did, a lot of local businesses, the Addie Schoolhouse, the Divines gas station there was taking donations. So was the Blue Creek store. So were a bunch of other businesses. Businesses also kind of donated some stuff to the searchers, to go up there. There were apparently, pickupfuls of, food and water that the searchers
And could you imagine
access.
by day 5 the family had to be really panicking? That's a long time.
Yeah, I would say the success rate after day 5 is not very good there. So that's that's good they found her when they did. And also you have to consider on Saturday night we had those torrential rains and a real cool down, so that was probably the best time to find her before that hit there.
Wow.
And the lightning. I forgot about the lightning.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're up, want to be up on a mountain.
Scary.
So that it's a good ending to a story that could have ended with a pretty bad ending there. So.
Excellent.
So that's good to see. Good to see the community came out and everybody was looking for her and helping her and praying for her there. So, and it's great to see the community come together and for Lori to come home safe.
All right. I noticed your next story, and I'm really excited that it might be safer for me to leave the radio station and walk across Follery Trail, or what we call Main Street, and get to the post office safely now because the city has lowered the speed limit.
Do you want to read that story? How about you give the good news to everybody?
Okay. As part of the recent efforts to improve traffic safety in the downtown business area, because it's tough with that angled parking, they were recently working on the parking issues, re-angling the spaces. I believe they're going to do, right?
Yes, they're just going to flatten it out a little bit more because, everybody knows when you're backing out, it's really tough to see around if there's a big truck parked next to you.
Or if you're trying to come out of the intersection there on 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah, and a lot of cars can just be hopping through there pretty quick.
Yep. All right, so Chewelah City Council approved several measures at the regular meeting last Wednesday evening. Council unanimously approved lowering the speed limit from 25 to 15 miles per hour on Main Avenue in the core downtown business area between Park Street, which is Highway 395, to 5th Street East. The decision came after months of discussion by the council about traffic, pedestrian safety, and parking improvements in the area, as well as a couple of public input forums earlier this year. Police Chief Mark Burrows also presented the council with data from the department's electronic traffic monitor that showed the council approximately 3,000 cars travel that road daily and showed the range of speeds that those cars are moving. And as many of us know, if you're trying to make your way to the post office, it kind of feels like sometimes you're jousting with cars coming at you because they can't see you because of the angled parking.
Right.
And then they're going too fast coming up to the stoplight.
And that's kind of crazy to me. I would think, you should be slowing down just because you're approaching the highway through that, that
There's so much congestion right there.
Right. And I would just think, anybody could dart out behind cars or anything like that. Or anybody could back out of a spot. I usually kind of slow down way because you don't know what's going to happen there.
Yep. Also, in the interest of safety, the council decided to ban bicycle riding on sidewalks in the same downtown area. Bikes are still allowed to be walked on the sidewalks, however, but no riding of the bikes. I'm surprised that already wasn't a law.
Yeah, can I comment on that? Just with the way it's set up, there's a lot of foot traffic down there, and bicycles can cause a little collision or something.
Skateboards, scooters, all that stuff.
Right, and we already have businesses that are doing kind of the terrace seating out there, so that also limits the space on the sidewalk. So if you throw in bicycles, there's not a lot of room for them to maneuver on the sidewalk, even if they're on there. And it's only for 2 blocks. You can walk it down there. You really can, and then bike somewhere else. You don't really need to just cruise right through downtown. I think the goal is just to make that area safer and more walkable for pedestrians there.
So it says from 395 to 5th Street East. So that would be the, let's see, we set on the intersection of Northeast 3rd. So Setty's would be the corner of Setty's. There would be where Chavino's is, would be Northeast 4th. So it goes down to the intersection with the Catholic Church.
Correct.
15 miles an hour.
Right down there, which makes sense. That's just the downtown core, and that's where you see all the foot traffic there.
Yep. All right. Then here's a quote. Bikes are still allowed to be walked on the sidewalks. Councilwoman Nicole Norvell opposed the ban if the city did not also provide bicycle racks.
Oh, that makes sense.
All right. It says, I'm totally going to rebel on the whole thing unless you put bike racks at the very beginning where you're not allowed to have bikes, and the very end where you're not allowed to have bikes. The council voted 6-1 to approve the ban.
I agree with her. You want to make it more friendlier, because if you're going to ban bikes through that area, at least make it appear like the city is like, hey, we still want you bikers around here. We just don't want you cruising right through this core right here, because you could end up running into somebody if you're going too fast or something like that. So, and also you have to consider bikes crossing in the crosswalk, because a lot of people don't get off their bikes and walk them across the crosswalk. They just jet
Especially
out.
Kids.
So I can definitely see that being a reason for this, is to ensure that you don't have the bikes just cruising through the crosswalks as well, because that causes even more issues with people just bombing through there. My thing is there's a lot of truck traffic through there too, because Flowery Trail is now totally paved. So that's become a little bit of a highway for, a lot of log trucks, a lot of just trucks shipping stuff from the county over there, over Flowery Trail, and you do see a lot of trucks kind of come through that main avenue there, and trucks can't stop as fast as regular cars. So by slowing down the speed limit and then hopefully not having that kind of bike issue where they're speeding right through the crosswalk, I hope that makes it kind of safer for trucks to come through too.
And some people hate me for this probably, but I actually wish the trucks would have to drive around.
I don't know how I guess you could reroute.
It wasn't there before. Trucks
Right.
had to drive around before it was there, because when you are going up Flowery Trail, if you get behind a semi, those passing lanes are pointless.
I get what you're saying.
And
you mean Flowery Trail? You don't want to.
When you basically go up the entire road up to the top of the ski hill at 5 miles an hour if there's a semi truck in front of you, and there is no way to get around them. It's absolutely it's crazy.
Right. But I would ask if that wasn't a commercial shipping way, you might say, would they even have paved it? Because I don't think they're going to pave it just for the ski bumps. So
yeah,
I don't know. And by that I mean all the way across down into Pend Oreille County kind of deal. I think it was paved specifically to open up, some of that shipping
commerce
there. Yeah.
And it's too bad though that when they did it and they redid the road, that if they were going to do that and that was the decision, they know semi trucks are going to be over it, that they didn't put some. I realize it's hard because it's all curves,
right,
that it's hard to give enough length, but they should have put in longer passing lanes.
Right.
There is no way, even in a sports car, if the semi truck moved over into the passing lane, that you could get by it, because the passing lane is only about as long as a semi truck.
Right. So they get in and they get out, kind of.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is
it's
great.
difficult.
Yeah, you got to be on it there,
All
and
right.
if there's multiple cars, it's an issue. So.
Well, there's my 2 cents. Is probably worth nothing. All right.
Ban trucks.
That's right. Now, yeah, there'll be a couple truckers waiting for me.
Write your email to Scott.
It's just once again, and I've picked on him on this show before. People at the DOT probably hate me, but it's another example of the ridiculousness of the East Side Washington Department of Transportation. Right back to the tiniest roundabouts I've ever seen in Deer Park. I mean, it goes on and on. This place is growing. Quit shortchanging us.
Cool. Scott, we need to come back around on this topic because we actually had a big feature story on that. So I'm glad you brought it up. So let's talk about that a little bit later.
Okay.
But I want to dive into this next story.
All right. I didn't talk about what else the city council did. If you wanted me to touch it.
Oh, they're putting new stripes at Main Avenue. It'll look all nice and great and lovely and wonderful there. So.
And they proved a bid. There you go.
They proved a bid.
All right. Where do you want to go on to
new
next?
18-inch solid center line through downtown. New reflective surface crosswalks.
So now there is something that is newsworthy in that as well. So we have the double lines,
right,
which are legal to turn across. If they do an 18-inch solid center line, you cannot turn across.
Oh.
So
city's just lost all its business.
I
cross that line all the time.
But they're saying on Flowery Trail there, right?
Right.
It's the same spot. So that's not going to cause any big problems there. What's going to be illegal, and you see people do this, let's say you are heading east on Flowery Trail,
right,
and you want to pull in front of, you want to pull in on the north side of Main Street.
Right.
I've seen people make that illegal turn to pull into the angled parking instead of going down the block and turning around and coming up. They'll cross. So that will get you a ticket now.
Oof.
Yeah, so be careful downtown.
Be careful downtown.
For more than one reason.
Big Brother is watching.
That's right. All right. And you were excited about the next story, or you want to delve into it?
I think we need to delve into this. This is pretty important. There's been reports of cattle being shot in Stevens County. I've talked to a few cattle producers, and they've said even just in the last couple of days, they found a handful of dead cattle that were otherwise healthy that they believe were shot, kind of deal. And this is kind of on the back of the whole wolf controversy and issues with cattle producers and wolves and things like that. Having kind of observed a lot of social media activity in some pro-wolf groups and things like that, it wouldn't put me past it, but I have no confirmation or anything like that to say, they did it or something like
And
that.
that is some kind of retaliation. For
Right,
the wolf
right.
kill.
But I have no proof of that, just, to get that out there to people. But, talking to the cattle producers, this has been a problem the last 20 years. And before that, they really didn't have, except for, the occasional one or something like that, they really didn't have this issue. And now it seems to happen in spurts, and it's, it's more than one or two cows. It's quite a few of them kind of
So
deal.
it could be activists going too far.
Yeah, you never know. Like, I can't say, it is them, but in terms of, that's who the cattle producers think it in. They are offering a $15,000 reward, up to $15,000, if they can get any info that would lead to the arrest of somebody shooting cows and things like that. This would just be, the reward would be broken up with how many people would come forward with information and stuff like that.
It's kind of ironic that if that is this scenario that is happening, if this is retaliation, it's really ironic that somebody who's trying to protect animal would turn around and shoot another animal.
Right. Yeah. That
to make a statement
makes no sense to me.
Yeah, you just lost all credibility.
And the areas that I've talked to and seen that this happen, there's houses all around. There are people living, right around the area, and you're firing off guns.
Not safe.
It's not safe, and just law enforcement is looking into it, investigating it. So we'll have more information on that. But you'll see an ad in the Independent this week from the Stevens County Cattlemen offering the reward there for any info leading to that, because they have dealt with this, and I believe they've had that ad running for like 10 years or something like that, for quite a long time. Because they've had issues along this. And this is in Stevens County and all over. It's not just like one area. It's happened, when they're up on grazing lands. It's happened when they're, in the valley flats that we drive by every day kind of deal. And it wouldn't take much for somebody to just, drive by and shoot one and drive off. There's not really a way you can, it's not like there's tire marks in the field or like anything really traceable.
Sure.
One thing, law enforcement, I think, is trying to, find a bullet and maybe they can track it or something like that. But it's really hard to kind of, baseline be like, oh, well, we caught the person kind of deal. So they're just hoping everybody can keep an eye out, and if they see anything, they can provide that information there. So, and I just hate to see stuff like this. You don't need to attack people's livelihood. You don't need to attack living animals. And over something that is basically a political battle. That's just ridiculous.
It is.
And I think, me personally, it goes back to social media, because you get a bunch of people in this echo chamber and they start talking back and forth, and it's just like it just elevates the talk, and people get really tough behind that keyboard, and it just boggles my mind, some of the stuff that gets said about what they're going to do to other people or other animals or things like that. And
Out of control.
Yeah, it's out of control. I know logging, coming from a logging family, you've always had to worry about
Protected species and...
Well, yeah, protecting species, and then somebody will set your logging equipment on fire, or drive spikes into a tree. So somebody running a chainsaw, that causes
really
all sorts of
dangerous,
issues.
yeah.
Yes. So that kind of stuff. If it is happening,
That's not the way to get your position heard.
No, it really isn't. It does way more damage than getting across. The wolf issue right now is pretty heated, because Fish and Wildlife is taking the remaining 2 wolves from the Togo pack in Ferry County, and there's also the Old Profanity Territory pack, which they've removed a few wolves. Yeah, several wolves now. They just came out with a report a few days ago. They've removed either 2 or 3 more wolves from that pack, and they're continuing to kind of lethally remove them. But the number of depredations they've had against the cattle has been something like 30 or something like that. It's a big number that this specific pack has been kind of attacking cattle there, so on federal grazing land. So wherever you stand on that issue, I just wanted to point this out, that and this isn't just in Stevens County. I saw a few reports just in the Northwest where bulls or cows are mysteriously dying, healthy, and it could be poisoning, could be
And it's
shooting
not
or
aliens.
something. Not aliens, I don't think so.
All right.
But
All right, and if you're the type of person that is okay shooting a cow, I invite you to spend 10 minutes talking to a cow.
Yes, do that first.
Because they're really nice.
They are really
peaceful
nice.
Creatures. I'd never been around them, and I think I said this before on this show, is like after living with cows, because I was renting a place that had a farm surrounding it, and they were really friendly. It's hard for me to even eat beef.
It is?
Yeah, just from hanging out with the cows. Yeah, really.
Right.
It's a creature. Don't shoot it.
What about chicken? Can you still eat chicken?
They're kind of mindless. It's a little easier, but I mean, I guess that was the problem with me, and maybe if I was around chickens and watched it too, watching the cows, I could see like every other animal, like it's dogs or whales or whatever. They love their young. They care about their young. They're devastated when their young's taken away from them. You can feel their emotion. It's a living, feeling creature that cries. Come on.
Right.
That's not that I've turned into a total vegetarian, but it actually did affect me, and I think about it, and I do break down and still have a hamburger, but I kind of punish myself while I'm eating it. I guess.
You guilt yourself? That's all right.
I just it makes me ask personal questions for my life.
Right.
So.
Well, and then if somebody's going around claiming to be an animal advocate that's shooting cattle.
Boy, you're an idiot.
Yeah, you're an idiot.
Also, I'm willing to say that one.
You're an idiot there. So.
All right, and news about fires. The rain over the past weekend helped.
I hate to knock on wood, but it feels like we're on the downhill slope. The North Mill Creek fire up by Colville, about 12 miles from Colville, is 100% lined and contained.
Nice.
So that's in good shape there. And then the Williams Flat fire, the big one, which is over 45,000 acres, is currently 80% contained, and they're really kind of in mop-up duty there. So it's good to see that these big fires that, just a week ago were really burning,
scary,
have really settled down, and we're in a kind of a good shape, but it's still fire danger high. It's still dry out there.
And here is the problem. Just doing weather for the radio station and looking at the extended forecast predictions. August is supposed to be, the rest of the month is supposed to be mild. The 10-day outlook is for temperatures in the low to mid 80s. I don't think I've seen anything where we get over 87. There is also zero rain in the next 2 weeks. While we're having mild temperatures and cooler temperatures than we normally have in August, there is no more precipitation coming in the near future. So be very, very careful, because even, we think, cooler temperatures, we're a little safer. 85 and dried out still makes big forest fires.
Yeah, still makes big forest fires. Just people need to be very vigilant and smart. When it rained, the local law enforcement had to respond to a bunch of illegal burns because people thought as soon as it rains, it's time to burn stuff, and it's like, no.
It rained a little. I can have a campfire.
Yes,
bad idea.
Exactly. Bad idea. Don't do that. One thing, I did notice, and this is just more talking about this general summer, is the loggers never had to move off of, into hoot owl and things where they have to scale back operations.
You got to be out of the forest,
right?
And that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that stuff. Because we kept having cool evenings, very cool evenings in the 40s. I mean, in July, I'm pretty sure I saw low 40s, which is crazy to me personally.
We've also had rain about every week and a half, all summer long.
So I think you're still getting temps to drop down cool enough to where it doesn't create those super, super dry conditions.
And now that the sun is, waning from the summer and stuff too, you can see our nighttime temperatures are back down around 53, where even you look at a week and a half ago, they were up around 60 at night. Right. So that helps too.
Right. And we're middle August. I mean, we're about to hit September and then October, and you know what happens in those months.
All right, next up, we had, and I heard it on the headline this morning, they're talking about recession again. I thought we were on the upswing.
You know what I hope happens, though? I'm super excited about this. Remember when the last recession almost hit, and then George W. Bush sent everybody like a $500 check? Oh, I hope that happens again, because I can buy a lot of Nintendo Switch games with that before I lose my house.
Yeah, we could get that a little tax break again and support the gaming industry.
Yeah,
that'd be helpful.
There we go. But yeah, it seems like, a lot of the media, and again, I hate to sound like this guy because I'm a member of the media, but, the mainstream media really does like to overreact to things. This is how you sell papers, folks. But
That's right.
they are saying the U.S. economy looks like it might be heading into something of a recession. You have the stock market, which had that 800-point drop. You have a couple of other indicators. The yield of the U.S. Treasury bond fell below something. I'll
Sure.
try and pretend to be a financial expert, but
Right.
that sounds bad there. So just some things to be aware of and maybe keep an eye out for. I'm assuming most people around here aren't big stock market people or anything like that. But anytime the word recession gets kind of thrown around, you kind of start worrying about your job and all that kind of stuff, because a recession usually means cut back in jobs and budgets and all that kind of stuff. But
So I wonder if we'll see maybe a little bounce back since yesterday and Trump backing off on the tariffs for China until December 15th.
Yeah,
And
there's-
giving us a little break there. That was a lot of the concern was what those tariffs were really going to hurt the economy and stuff, and it seems like he's backed off on that. So maybe we'll see kind of a opposite of a backlash.
And it's not just the U.S. really, and this is a global market now. As much as some people around here probably hate that term, but we like to think of ourselves as the epicenter of everything. But you have
We're
to,
not.
you have to consider Europe is dealing with Brexit, with Great Britain leaving the European Union, which is going to cause all sorts of economic, turmoil and things like that. And some other markets, certainly in Asia, have not been stellar. So what you're seeing is kind of countries across the globe kind of having some financial issues, and it's all connected, and we're in a great big circle that's going to soon be asking for money.
I always think it's kind of funny when people have and not to get off on a whole new tangent again, but when people have those Cold War fears for us in China. That we're going to go to war, or we need to be afraid of them or something like that. And when you say that global economy, it's so true. People don't realize if China decided to go to war with us and destroy our way of life, they destroy theirs too.
Yeah,
They
kinda
really do,
much,
because
yeah.
their total society over the past 50 years has become dependent on American consumerism. Their economy is based, and not just America, it's like you're saying, and consumerism in the UK. China makes so many cheap products,
Right.
but they are to start a world war or go to war with China. It doesn't make sense for anybody. They cripple their own country, because if everybody in the free world would stop buying products from the communist world, what happens to them?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
It's all tied together.
Yeah, it's all tied together, but that hasn't stopped countries from going to war before. But
That's true.
One thing about it, I'm glad you brought up China, was, a lot of people are wondering, well, why are we doing these tariffs and stuff? And there is a good point where China has, been really pushing to advance themselves in the world, right? But the issue with this is a lot of intellectual theft. They'll steal a lot of our technology, ideas.
They'll put anything in their products that they don't care if it's
Yeah.
poisonous or not.
Right.
If your kids are going to get sick, they really. I like the way the government deals with it. When you do like something like that and you get caught, you die.
Right.
But why are there so many people doing that with the knockoff products and
Right.
stuff? Yeah.
And I think, the reason behind the tariff or the ideas is we've got to stop this reliance on, cheap Chinese good, because basically, a lot of American products have been just
cut our
cheapened.
own throat.
Yeah.
We cut our own throat
right.
by
Sometimes
doing that.
there. And, something needs to change where people are more like, well, let's build, on our own shores and get that out to people.
Oh,
kinda deal.
imagine
So-
that, creating jobs within our country.
Right. I know. Shocking. Right.
All right, now you said as we wrap up the show there was something you wanted to come back around when I
Yeah,
was
you were
picking on the
talking,
DOT.
talking about Highway 395. I'm so
Yes.
glad because we did this big feature story on Highway
Saw that.
395, and the
Artery
reason,
of Stevens County is last week's lead story.
right, correct. And the reason behind that is we've seen a few high-profile wrecks, and and the summer months usually bring those because there's a lot more traffic, a lot of people, and I would say a lot of people kind of out of the area, so they don't understand they don't understand where the slow down areas are and where what things can happen, and we've seen a few high profile wrecks and things like that. So I was like, I wonder how safe 395 is, or how it ranks kind of in the state and stuff. So I contacted WASDOT, and they said Highway 395, despite it seeming like it's, just a death trap kind of deal, is basically average in terms of like fatalities and serious injuries and things like that. It averages about 2 fatal wrecks a year. The issue with Highway 395 is it's the only main road up through the county, right? So if you end up closing that road for 8 hours because of a big wreck, everybody feels it. Now, let's say you have a Highway 395 on the coast. That road shuts down, guess what? You can reroute to the next highway over or the next interstate over, and it's really no harm, no foul. But here, you may know the person. We're a lot more connected because, a lot of locals, a lot of families that know each other kind of deal. So those fatal wrecks, I think, hurt a lot more because there's a good chance you probably know somebody in that wreck there. Yeah. But it was interesting because I've heard a lot of people say, well, we need a 4-lane highway. We need to just put it. They just need to put it in a 4-lane highway all the way through the county. And so I asked, well, how much would that cost? And they came back with, and this is a ballpark, obviously, but $500 million to $1 billion to put in a 4-lane highway. So if I can spell this out, not going to happen because you cannot put that much into the infrastructure. And
for that amount of people?
Yeah, for that amount of people. I mean,
seems a shame.
It seems, but it's way too much money. And then they presented the budget to me, and it's kind of funny. WSDOT, a good chunk of their budget is paying off debt too. So they're paying off a good, I want to say 25% debt with their budget there.
Wow.
So
I'm surprised it didn't cost more for the project because I've talked about the first time they did the bridge, not the new 395 corridor going into Spokane, but the first time they redid that bridge and made that 2 miles as you come into Spokane, 2 lanes each direction. When they did that project, say, 15, 20 years ago, it was $77 million for what equals 4 miles of highway, because I'm going to give them a break there and give it a little, it isn't, I'll give them 4 miles of highway instead of 2 because it's 4 lanes, but really $77 million. If you figure that out, I did the math and it was like in the trillions to get to Canada based on that. And it took that project 3 years. Well, figure that out to go the rest of the way to Canada. Nobody alive will see the highway get finished.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll all be stuck in road construction for the rest of our lives.
So how did our country make this happen in the 50s? How did we pave America? And now we can't because it's too expensive.
Wages? How much did we get paid in the 50s? So
yeah, crazy.
And you had presented the idea of Jersey barriers, but again, how many other rural 2-lane highways do you see with Jersey barriers? I do like that idea because that would certainly prevent a lot of head-ons and stuff. But
not cost
can you imagine putting Jersey barriers all the way up to Canada? Like, it's a great idea, but I just don't think financially, we really got to think about finances, and it's really hard. I've talked to the city about this because everybody complains about the roads, but it's like if you wanted to pave every road in the city, they go broke after 2 roads. Like road construction is just very expensive these days.
It is, and so think of a campground. When I was managing a mobile home park, I've used this on the show before. It was 400 units.
Right.
Small yards, all that kind of stuff, but your own little city with these, bigger than a 1-lane road, but still narrower than a 2-lane road.
Right.
And to resurface the entire park with just 2 inches of blacktop. So just to cover what's already there, take the bumps and cracks out and that kind of stuff. It was over $1 million.
Right.
You're looking at a space of maybe 10 square blocks, and it's with tiny little roads going through it, and it's $1 million to pave it. It's ridiculously expensive.
Right. Yeah. And this is one of my pet peeves. We need a noise for a sound effect for one of Brandon's pet peeves. But when exactly. When somebody gets on our Facebook and says, well, the city needs to do this, and the project's $5 million, it's like, you're going to donate the money. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people, and let's be honest, we're all not the most financially responsible people here, who think everybody's made of money, and somehow $1 million project or a $5 million project is just going to happen. Yeah. And it's easy to say, oh, we need this or we need this. It's another thing to actually fund it.
Yeah.
And that's
and
a
the city
difference.
Taxes on we're up to $2,800.
Well, if the city raises
on that
any
does
tax,
not make millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Right. And then we're yeah, maybe the city can raise our taxes, and then
Yeah,
everybody
make
will
it
get voted out. So,
Yeah, there's always another edge to the sword.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
There. So.
Did we cover everything today, Brandon? You had on your list?
Yes, I think we are in good shape. So sorry for the break.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit hectic with
tough
everything.
summer.
So
And then
yeah.
I'm gone next Friday, too.
Oh, you're gone
so
next
we'll be
Friday.
back off for a week, but then we'll be back. I want to thank everybody that views our videos, and one of our videos we had looked back, we were really excited, and it was the show where we covered the search for Russell Bolton when that was happening.
When that was going on.
And we had 1,100 views on that video,
we're
which is
big time
huge for
now.
me and Brandon.
Yes.
So, yeah.
We're famous
So,
now.
please share our video. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that's the Week in Review for this week. I'm Scott.
I'm Brandon.
Thanks for listening to the Week in Review with Brandon Hansen, Managing Editor of the Chewelah Independent, and Scott Allen, Managing Director of Northern Lights Public Radio. Past episodes are in video format on the Chewelah Independent's website and on KCHW's YouTube channel. This program was recorded and filmed at the KCHW FM studios in Chewelah, Washington.